Welcome to Pluribus and the officially unofficial podcast for Pluribus on Apple TV Plus. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And we are back for season 1, episode 8, titled Charm Offensive. Aaron, last week a lot of people thought was very slow. What'd you think of this week?
First off, Merry Christmas, everybody. Vince Gilligan got us the answers to a lot of the questions we've been having. I think it's funny that, and I think it was the feedback episode, or maybe it was the full episode, I was saying, like, I could really use, like, a Seventh Seal style, just Zojia and Carol locked in a room for an hour asking questions of each other, and maybe even over a board game, right? Like, I said that. And when Zojia said, hey, you want to play a board game? I screamed. I was like, oh my, and that's pretty much what this episode was. It was them doing early relationship date nights and talking about each other. And I think we found some surprising levels of individuality to the Hive and some surprising levels of communal living in Carol. And then at the end, you know, you've got Manusos, like a near light speed proton heading into this unstable mass of Carol getting feelings for the Hive mind, but realizing it's probably not healthy for her. And then also the people who are on the team Carol hasn't given up, she's rope-a-dope, are at least partially vindicated, because I don't think any of this is disingenuous, especially since Carol announces at the end of the episode that I'm still fighting you. You know that, right? And you're still trying to absorb me. I know you. I thought this episode was great. I mean, if you're unhappy with an episode that fills in half the whiteboard of hive mind theories for you, then I don't know what to say. And even the people that I was pretty dismissive of this idea is like, well, what if she starts writing again? I'm like, well, that'd be kind of, but I'll be damned. She's doing it. And I think there's a point to it. It's in the tank for this episode. Jim, what'd you think?
I also, this is a short episode. It's only 40 minutes long, but is just packed with information. Packed with answers to questions and confirmations of many assumptions that I had made already, like this giant antenna being like kind of the point of Pluribus. Right? I made that assumption from episode 1. Glad to see that patience pays off here, and I get an answer to that. It just seems like a natural outcropping of what and who they are.
And those are good too, like confirmations of the things that we pretty much all. It's like, that was stuff that was stated by the scientists in the first episode. It'd take a an antenna the size of Texas, or was it Africa? I can't remember. And all the power. Yeah, and that's what it took, and that's what it'll take.
And we have so many questions about, are animals joined? Are those wolves actually joined? Nope, definitely not joined. Nope. That's answered. There was an assumption I made that I think is still not 100% confirmed, but very close to it, with the signal that Manusos picks up on his radio being maybe the comms between.
It is something
because we know they operate on the EM spectrum, which is radio, which is, all broadcast.
Actually, I wonder if you looked up that 8875.1, if that's like a frequency related to the electrical field that the human body produces.
Probably, yeah. But that was great. And I will say, so to have Carol asking so many of the questions that we have had for so long, and people are just like spinning off into crazy theories or really obsessing over in perhaps unhealthy ways in some cases. That's really good, and it just shows you like
it brings us all back together, brings us all back to the hive mind, and redirects our efforts to more productive,
and lets us know also that the show has an intention and a purpose and a pace that it wants to go at, and you need to just kind of let it do its thing, because if you get too gripped up about like, what does this mean, what does that mean, you're only really setting yourself up for disappointment when your particular theory that you've spun off has not turned out to be true.
Right. And I've seen it a million times in shows. People fall in love with their pet theory, the way it's got to happen. And then when it doesn't happen that way, even though the way it happened is perfectly cromulent, makes sense, and a character, and most of the other fan, they're dissatisfied because they didn't get their way. That's human.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say, the first time I watched this, I was a little confused by Carol and her actions. I was like, they're making her pretty flip-floppy. I don't know if I like her, kind of being an antagonist to the Pluribus and then not, and now being in love with them. And I just didn't get what was going on with Carol. The second time, though, it was much more rewarding. I felt like I have a through line for this entire episode, and it doesn't depart from the rest of what I've seen in this season. So I'm looking forward to discussing that more. But yeah, I found this episode to be really rewarding for many reasons.
I agree. Okay, here's one thing. Do you think that Manousos is going to make it to Carol's house at the beginning of next episode or at the end? Because, man, there's no way they kicked their first meeting to the next season, right? Like, I feel like this next episode is going to be a counterpoint to this one. It's going to be, Carol and Manousos interrogating each other about, what they've done and how crazy they are. And is Carol going to come clean about the fact that she's fucking the hive mind? I mean, you need something introduced here to shake up this pattern in 20 days or whatever that Carol and Zosha have fallen into. So Manousos showing up early in the episode makes a lot of sense. He is apparently quite close to where Carol is. So, and the fact that like they end the episode with "you're going to have a visitor." I mean, that tells me that almost immediately next episode, that's what we're going to get. That's what I'm saying. There's no, but in lieu of seeing, because that's the thing. It's like, I don't think Manousos's path to the United States is interesting. Like, it was only interesting leading up to the Darien Gap and how he get through. But now he's got transportation and a road network, and he's only, I think he's just around the city of Juarez, across the border of New Mexico. I did a Google search. It's like a 4.5 hour drive. So yeah, because the other thing you could do is just stick with Manousos and see what he's doing. But like, I can predict what he's doing. He's driving. He's saying, "My name is Manousos, whatever."
Occasional sucking on a siphon hose.
You killed my planet. Prepare to die. And then every once in a while he'll suck on some benzene and get that stuff out of there. But yeah.
And by the same token,
peroxide on his wounds.
Like they don't have much else to do with Carol, right? The trajectory's been set. They've already pulled all the drama out of Manousos showing up by having Zosha say he's about to show up. So it's not like he's going to drop in at an inconvenient time, or he's not going to disrupt
I wonder
anything.
How much prep work Zosha will do. Like, is Zosha going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I'm going to do like what we did with Kumba. I'm going to have some street signs pointing him to your house, and then I'm going to get out of here." Or because it's like, it's going to be a problem if Manousos knocks on the front door and Zosha and Carol answer, right? And that's like, sure. So, and I'm trying to think from Vince's and the writers, which is more interesting to them. Would it be to just throw it into that? Would it be for Carol to kind of try to minimize her complicity and because she could also, like, Manousos doesn't know shit about the hive. She could show him this whiteboard and it looks like she's been doing all this meticulous research, but 75% of that information came from Zosha voluntarily giving it to her over breakfast in bed. It's like, that's literally sleeping with the enemy. So I'm not sure. I think they're going to set it up to where they're going to be pretty sympathetic. Like, Carol's going to get some of her militancy back, and
I don't think she ever lost it. I think that's the thing I learned second time through this. She's not blinked a bit from her position. She's now deep undercover, deep under the covers. I think she now likes, but now she's in a position where she admires some of the hive. So you think she was lying when she says, "I like you. I like a lot of the things about you," but okay. But I think that would be I think that was true before. I just think the bad by far outweighs the good here.
I agree, and I'm trying to think because I just saw Sound of Music last weekend. We're going through these pseudo Christmas watches, and among other things, is about a 15-year-old girl named Lizel going on 16, falling in love with a I don't know, let's call him Fritz. He's a errand boy. He's running around telegrams and stuff, and it turns out the young Fritz in Austria in 1930. Yikes. Leaning a little brown shirt, Jim. Leaning a little brown shirt.
Not surprising.
Lizel, her dad's not about that at all. Is ripping down the swastika, but she still loves this boy. I mean, it happens, right? Like people from big religious divides, people from big political divides do sometimes find love, and there's that contradiction. But I guess this is another thing I heard a relationship counselor say. It's like the relationship can survive anything but contempt. Like if you get you've gone past the love and all that and the affection, and you just like loathe the other person, and or contempt, like you don't even respect them as a person anymore. There's no way to rebuild that relationship. I feel like that window has been cracked open. There is a respect, there is a rapport, there is a kind of a fascination with the other. I think there's a little bit of all these things. Like Carol, she's a lesbian, and Zosha's very attractive, and she's her biggest fan. That shit could be really seductive if you don't watch it. So
sure,
I just don't know how much they're going to throw of all these conflicting things. Because you're right, she is militant, she is a true believer, but I don't think she wants to kill them all. Where Manusso's, I think if he found out he had an ability that could kill millions of them at a time, he'd just be walking around like Dr. Manhattan, giving out both middle fingers to big crowds of people and watching their heads explode.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was actually more on the train of Carol has had some true conversion after the end of last episode, when she runs up and she hugs Zosha. Before I saw her kind of play out this, I don't know, this reconnaissance mission that is this episode, the espionage going on here. Because if you look at it, every single thing she's doing in this episode is designed slickly to find out more about them, how they operate, where they are. And I think that extends all the way down to the personal here with Zosha. I think by the end of this episode, I think she's running an op to try to separate Zosha from the hive. Like she's asking her about her childhood and her favorite things. She's doing exactly what they were doing to her, manipulating her emotionally. She's now flipping that back around. And the biggest indicator to me is when she looks out the window at Helen's grave. That doesn't look like a look that says I'm ashamed of what I'm doing. It's a look that's like, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for what we had. Okay. So they're a little bit maybe I'm misinterpreting it. I don't know.
No, I think that's I did not get that, but I also, now that I'm replaying it with that interpretation in my mind, I think it tracks perfectly. And that's the thing, I guess. Clearly she still wants to take down the hive or set the world right, but it's with a different intention now, I think. And I still think she's got a different energy she's bringing it to, because like, again, Minosis won't even talk to, like, the fucking dude takes hospital people hostage, and has an itemized bill that you add in. How do you itemize an ambulance, by the way? We'll get to it.
The gas.
I feel like now's about the time we should start talking about the episode. No.
Okay. I one last thing I want to say about that is I think maybe explain sort of what you're feeling here is she's putting herself also in a compromising position, a dangerous position, because she is human. And like you said, Zosha is attractive. Yep. She's designed to remind her of someone that she would be highly attracted to. I do think there's a danger here. I just don't. I think she's aware of it, and I also think she can resist it, but maybe not. Maybe not.
We've also talked about a lot of the, kind of like, I guess, moral hazards here of could she get Helen somehow to surface in Zoja? Can she separate her? And the idea of like, if you did that, then you would kill the thing that you wanted, either a clone of Helen or, you know, the person Zoja was before comes to the fore. And that's interesting because they did a little bit of filling out her background a bit.
Yeah.
You know, that was a little bit more mysterious, but yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Ready to get into it. Before we do, I just want to mention that we're doing our big Christmas thing right now. Merry Christmas, by the way. If you want even more Christmas in your life, well, we only got like a week or so before we have to start taking down lights. We're doing a big Christmas thing. Lots of Christmas movies. I don't know. We probably got like 50 Christmas movies if you sign up and go through the entire like 10-year history of our Christmas celebrations. But we got Jim Carrey's The Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That I felt like we really tapped into the zeitgeist. Did you see that the McDonald's had the Grinch adult meals with socks and it sold out in like 3 seconds, and it's another Szechuan sauce deal, and
it is the anniversary, right? Like 25th.
Yeah, it's the 25th, and the people there's commercials for it, and there's impersonate.
Wow.
Like, yeah, we got like a 2.5 hour boozed up movie review of that. If you're interested, support.baldmove.com. And then also, while I only have you for maybe one more week, I want to put a bug in your ear that every year we do this thing called Groundhog's Day on Groundhog's Day weekend, where we watch 24 hours of movies and raise money for the Cure Owls fund. And we're going to be doing that again. I believe it's January 31st to February 1st this year, Saturday and Sunday. Jim and I are watching a bunch of Batman movies. Yep, that one. Yep, that one too. Almost certainly we'll be doing that one as well.
All your favorites. Not that one.
Not that. Come on. That was banned in Italy. So if that sounds like a good time, watch these us middle-aged men progressively lose our mind to Batmania as we raise money. We raised over $50,000 last year. Can we do better this year? I honestly don't know.
Definitely not.
But find out with us. Groundhog.baldmove.com. Check that out. Let's pretend like it's not Groundhog Day, because it's not. And let's pretend like it's still 48 some days after the apocalypse. Manusos regains consciousness in a Panamanian hospital, where as soon as he gets 2 brain cells firing, he goes full Sarah Connor and takes the medical staff hostage with a scalpel, demanding an itemized bill, including an ambulance, so he can continue on his journey to Cerro Azteca. That's I immediately thought of Sarah Connor, right? Like her coming out with the syringe full of Drano. And except for, you know, all those people, like, don't try it, Sarah, and they're ready to kill. And these people are just like smiling on their face, like, Senor, why are you doing this? We're just trying to help you.
Yep. And he just wants the bill. Check, please. This is hilarious, man. I like the principles on this guy. I don't know. I mean, they continue to reinforce the idea that he is uncompromising, completely and thoroughly uncompromising. So that should be fun.
He doesn't want to owe these people anything.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's like, you know, like there's a fear there. Like that's how they get me. We talk about this was offline that like that, you've seen a bunch of these like prison advice. I don't know why. I've sometimes watched these things like, if you go to prison, here's what's going to happen.
You just gotta pick the biggest, meanest guy and beat the shit out of him, right? That's what I always hear.
You gotta punch him right in the butthole, and everybody else will respect you. I think the first, almost unanimously, they say, until you know what you're doing, do not put yourself in anyone's debt. Don't borrow someone's toothpaste. Don't borrow a pair of socks. Don't borrow, don't let them give you $5 out of commissary until yours gets established, because then they've got you. They've got an in. And the ability for you in prison to know what the hell you're doing and know where the powers are to know, you're just not going to. So just don't do it until you know who you can trust and who. Just don't fucking do it. Sure. I wonder if that's the case where it's like he's like, I just can't. Like it's almost beyond the metaphysical thing with him of like justice and balance. It's like him saying everything has a cost. It's like almost like a desperation of like, it's got to be true. because there's a cost to what you guys have done, and you owe me. You owe the whole world to pay it back, right?
Yeah, it could be that, but they've already started chipping away at it. I mean, look at where he started. He started as a man who was holed up, refusing to interact with them in any way, knocking over their food. Now he's talking to them. He's interacting physically with them. Like that, granted, it's hostile, but it's still progress in the Pluribus direction.
Yeah. Another live form of entertainment I like to watch, or I guess reality based, is like pet shelters that like take these videos of like when they get like spicy kittens. These are like feral kittens that just are afraid of people for whatever reason, and they're just huddled back in the back of their cage where they've been captured, and they're hissing and but they keep offering cat food, and sometimes the cat will like throw it over, but they keep going, and it's still hissing, but maybe it's hissing and eating, and while they get it eating, and sometimes I give some scratch between the ear, and it's like you just get it to accept a little bit, just to get it to build that trust, and they're giving him the spicy kitten treatment,
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how far it'll go. I mean,
right?
He's definitely still got his guard up, but there's progress.
I also here's the big thing. This might be the biggest mystery left in the series. That we might get a satisfying answer is, so Carol can just kind of throw a hissy fit and say, get away from me, and push people. And they go into a seizing conniption fit that kills millions. Manusos comes out with malice aforethought, one of them with a knife at their throat, threatening to kill them they're not even stressed out about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a couple ideas for why that might be. We've talked about how there's nothing emotional behind the delivery here from Manusos. He's more like,
there's lots of emotion, but he's delivering it in like a flat affect.
Yeah, it's a delivery. There's also the possibility that they've adapted because of Carol, and not even Carol would have this effect on them anymore. Ooh. I don't know. We'd have to see.
That's cool. I was reading through my Discord, through our Discord. Sorry, the Bald Move Discord on the Pluribus. I get the Discord and the divorce. All right. Shit, that's a lot of mouths to feed. That's a lot of nitro to go through each month. Fuck. Oh, I was reading a thread and people were discussing, and someone said the one difference you can see from Care, other than the man, woman, Spanish, English, American, but is that Manusos is very isolated, to the extent that even people in his own community that have, photographic memory of everything they've done the last few days lost track of him for 33 hours, right? Mm-hmm. Carol, on the other hand, is internationally famous. She is, I don't think, quite a J.K. Rowling, but I think she's a good deal more famous than Stephanie Myers, the Twilight gal, is where I'm kind of going. She has a dedicated worldwide fan base. Like, if a stranger comes out the street and says, you fucking dumbass, what the fuck are you doing? You're stupid. You might get a little hostile. You might get a little angry. You might get a little annoyed, but you're not going to think, oh, God, I did something bad, right?
Sure.
So let's say you as a bald mover, or as a bald move person, if you were at a convention or you're at the Badass Fest, you could go up to any random badass or bald move member up there and probably make them cry within 15 seconds. If you just came up there and started, what the fuck are you doing? The fuck is wrong with you? Because like they care about what you think, right? I wonder if what we're seeing is that like enough of the hero worship diffused throughout the hive mind that Carol screaming at them is like enough of their favorite content creators screaming at them that they're having a mental breakdown about that. Whereas Manusos is just some dude.
All right. I like that possibility too.
I think it's a really interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
But rest assured, the chances of either me and Jim making you cry in public are so remote, but never zero. So just, be on your toes. Keep in mind, we're human beings.
Okay. Let me say this. The hospital gown ass is just a classic at this point. I love it. It's one of the funniest things you could put on screen. It's
relatable too.
Humiliating.
Like like you walking around hot, you just got your ass out, and even if you don't, you're never more than like one hastily tied shoelace that you tied behind yourself away from your ass being out in the breeze.
Yeah. I love it. It's the funniest of nudity, in my opinion.
It's really good acting, just like a kind of discombobulated, the fact that he's like he like steps off the curb and stumbles because he's still kind of under the drugs and he doesn't have shoes on, I don't think, at this point. And I admire that kind of stuff, like it feels real. Like that guy, like how do you act like a person who's stumbling out of a hospital under anesthesia, not knowing where he's at, having toxins, but it's like, you got to think about it, right? You probably got to just the little pieces of craft like that, I think, are super interesting. His back is clearly killing this man, and we'll see it bookended at the end of this episode, but it's time for us to get into how to stop worrying and love the hive mind portion of this episode. Carol is mixing up, I say pink lemonade, you say grapefruit juice.
Sure. Could
the way she said, is it sweet enough, implies, because I don't think you can make grapefruit juice sweet enough.
Here's the thing I like in it too, is cranberry sauce. Everybody eats cranberry sauce at the holidays, right? That's a staple. But it's usually sweetened up, right? It's sweet.
Exactly, it doesn't have to mask that bitter taste that the
That's what I mean.
Has.
Yeah. So is your grapefruit juice sweet enough? Because I can never tell. I don't know.
Grapefruit always just tastes like lemon flavored aspirin to me. I don't like that.
It's very bitter,
astringent aftertaste. But either way, if you want to be sweet, it's lemonade. If you want to be sour, it's grapefruit juice. And for her and Zosia's reunion, and they catch up over an intense round of Spit, an old card game from Carol's youth. One thing leads to another, and Carol goes home with Zosia that night to sleep with the Pluribus in a communal cuddle puddle at a local hockey stadium.
So we're gonna cover all this. I was looking at her selection of board games. It's your standard loadout of board games, your categories, your Risk, Monopoly,
and
Catan.
You got them all. Yeah.
I like that Catan has moved into standard
Euro game.
Yeah, standard distribution of board games. That really shows you how far board games have come.
But it's funny because that was every nerd's first Euro game 15, 20 years ago. So I guess that's how long it takes to seep into the imagination.
Yeah, I think it bumped I don't know. Sorry,
is this what New Yorkers and Los Angelites feel like when they watch Midwestern people dress up? Like we're just 10, 15 years behind their fashion. Like, oh my God. Because I'm getting really nerd embarrassed for Carol Sturka here. It's 2025. So. Right? Where's Agricola? Where's Wingspan? Yeah. I don't think you really like playing board games at all, Carol.
Not really. So this is interesting. They're playing this game called Spit, and I'm looking at this what is Carol doing here? What's the point of this board game? And at this point in the first watch, I'm like, okay, well, she's just she's had this break. She's starting to just figure out how to interact with this new entity that she's now resigned to interacting with. But on second watch, this is way more calculated. She is when she says it's like playing cards with Google, I realized, she's testing things. She's testing Zosia's reaction time. She's having a conversation while playing cards, which is testing how distractible they are. And I think that's what the playing cards with Google thing is about. Zosia can do 9 things at once if she needs to.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because she's got all that distributing processing power. I think every one of these dates is covertly an information exchange is a great observation, and it's something that I think is readily available from watching it. like she's trying to, and the questions that we've had, like, okay, you have the combined knowledge of the world's best baseball players. Can you, as Zoja, can you hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from a pro?
That croquet
or is
scene,
that what we call muscle memory? Like, it's why a pro can know how to hit a ball, can put your hands exactly the same place and have you swing exactly like him, but you're still going to miss the ball because it's just all that stuff working together.
Yeah.
We don't have an answer to that, right? It does seem like...
She says maybe, or maybe you just suck.
She says maybe, but they're talking shit. Like, you have to... And also, croquet is not, I wouldn't think, the highest skill ceiling game in the world.
Sure. There's a finesse to it, certainly, but...
Yeah. But she's doing that. She's trying to find it. Is there a limit to their knowledge? Like, they don't... Anything that humans don't know... Zoja won't know. Like, they're not going to know about what life's like on Kepler 22b because it's too fucking far away to communicate. They can just think about it. So they're establishing the limits of what they know and how much they know, and even like I was looking at the end where she's making omelets and stuff. I'm like, is she trying to get to like what they consider a windfall? Like, they'll eat eggs because you don't have to surgically remove eggs from chickens; they just lay them. Right. On the other hand, would they see but if the egg was fertilized, right, and how they keep it from fertilizing because they don't do animal husbandry. Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff, and it's all cute dainty stuff, but it's also her gathering information.
And I do think this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that. There's much more to know about them, and I do think Carol is still on that track. So, but I don't expect to have too many more, if any, full episodes like this where it's just fact finding about them. I think we're going to learn things a little more piecemeal as we go.
I think you're right. I think that maybe once a season they might hit us up with something like this. But you're right. They can't. This isn't sustainable.
No. And
I think it's extreme. It's a level of extreme confidence for them to put this many of their cards face up this late on the table, because like honestly half these questions were just kind of curiosities and I didn't need, but like them locking it in and being like, nope, this is the stone cold truth is pretty cool. It shows a lot of confidence they have in a story.
Yeah, and the things that they're locking in and the things they conspicuously aren't locking in, I think might also be important.
But I also want to point out that like this is going both ways, because I think Zoja is trying to figure out in a way that like maybe it's like the hive mind can't see the forest for the trees, but like, oh, you got fond memories of your cousin, he could stop by, and she's like, well, would it be like interacting any different than you? She's like, no. Well, if he wanted to do it, he had 40 some days to do it, and so fuck him. I think that surprised Zoja, but like when they're processing it, it's like, okay, like Carol doesn't like things. She's not a Kumba type. She doesn't want to have like this script that she follows and everything kind of goes into and it might be just because she's been a lot more privileged. Like, a person with her kind of wealth and status probably has things exactly the way she wants it everywhere she goes. And I do think that might all be a new thing for him.
Yeah. That's my guess on him. I would love an episode like this with him, because that would tell us a lot about him, which I need information about him. But the other thing is, I do think that point is drilled home to them when they open up Lachlan's later. And the way she reacts to that, that's like the final test of this. I want to say they'll totally back off on trying to do this preemptive wish fulfillment stuff that they've done, this manipulative, nostalgic reach for them.
Yeah. Because now that they've right, and there's intelligent, like I think they cannot understand things because of their perspective and point of view, just like anybody. But once someone's explained it, like I see this as manipulation. I do this to that, like, is the hive mind capable of changing? And that's the other thing is like the hive mind has friction. I was really surprised at, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but how much trouble the hive mind had keeping their pronouns straight.
Oh yeah, right.
You'd think that'd be like, okay, 7 billion people just got to, and just homostatically passes through the hive mind and we're locked in. But
right? Get me one former editor on the planet who can just be dedicated to that task. Every time I think they or we, I need to say them or I.
But that shows it is a limitation.
Or whatever.
Even though they have all the motivation in the world, like that thing is hard because it's conceptually hard for them.
Yeah.
I will say that I thought I want to move to the cuddle puddle part. That answered a lot of questions we had, like where do they sleep? Well, they sleep in big communal areas to save on electricity and be more efficient. And I also think for human connection, like it's not more efficient for them to all sleep in cuddle chains, you know, but they do. Chain. So I think some of this is for their human pleasure and benefit as well. And I couldn't help but notice one dude stripping his clothes off and putting them into a big plastic bin. It does seem like clothes get too dirty at some point.
And they're shipped off to Peru or Chile or wherever they're going to wash them.
It's more efficient. It's more efficient to have a bucket brigade passing the laundry down to South America and back over to Darien Gap, no doubt.
I'm not sure I follow. What do you mean? It's not more efficient to have people sleeping like next to each other? What's wrong with that?
I'm saying like you can sleep next to each other, like shoulder to shoulder, but why is it they're all cuddling each other? Like everyone is like to the side with their arms around the person in front of them, with their arms around the person in front of them. There was no one sleeping what I would say alone when they zoom out for the whole facility so you can kind of like look.
Okay.
This is this thing where the animals are not, you know, and that's the thing is like, I don't think this could be a lie. Cause like, I want to head off like, well, what about the bonobos? What about chimpanzees? What about the gorillas in the mist? What about dolphins? What about if any animal had joined the hive mind, Zosja, I think would have volunteered it. That would almost be a lie. When Carol asked point blank, I didn't animals, you know.
I agree. I'm not entertaining the thought at all that animal, because like, what's the point? What are they going to do with that? Like, they're going to have an episode that's just a bunch of, I don't know, hippopotamuses roaming around the jungle for an hour? That's stupid. That's
not even, you could stick with a pod of blue whales on a hunting dive, and it's literally just 40 minutes of blackness.
Yeah.
And water and echo and a whale song and bubbles rushing past.
Right. No, yeah, it's entirely that is a rest. I don't want to hear anything about it.
Yeah, it's a Rick and Morty sight gag. And I'm not, like I said, I'm up for this. I trust Vince and his team enough that if they have Flipper coming up and it's actually part of the hive mind, okay, but
yeah, an army of ostriches attack Manusos when he's trying to shut down the great big antenna. Sure.
It's the emus that you got to worry. Didn't they take over all of Australia once?
Yeah.
There's an emu war, and I think Australia lost it.
They don't have air conditioning anymore. They've eaten all the air conditioners.
Well, those are the camels. Like, my God.
You're right. Australia, place of horrors.
Locked in war. That was one of the very first Bald Move podcasts before we did TV.
So long ago.
We covered riveting global news like feral camels eating the copper out of Australian air conditioning.
I think it was a sweet coolant that they liked. I don't know. Here's the other thing, though. They claim to be all about efficiency, and that's why they're all like huddled up in this big stadium. But there are way more efficient places if you're talking about heating and cooling than a stadium. A stadium has so much open air. So much open air. Go to a hotel conference room where the ceilings are maybe, 12 feet high instead of 50 feet high or 150 feet high, however high the stadium is. That's so much air you have to heat and cool that's doing nothing.
So, like, what if it's a sop to their personal comfort? Because, like, I could easily see that, like, sleeping in a hotel conference room all shut up could get, like, hot and sweaty. Whereas, like, you have that entire area to, like, gather hot and moist air, and it's you're going to have a constant supply of cool air rushing in from the bottom to kind of, maybe it is just
what if you're trying to heat it? And I mean, it gets cold in the desert at night.
Well, mate, I don't feel like it's the cold part of Albert, but I don't know. I'm just throwing out something that maybe that's it. And maybe in the winter they do go for lower ceilings. Because we got like the house I'm living in right now is built in like 1938, and it has like 7.5 foot ceilings, which is when you go into like a modern, like God, now they're like 9 or 10 feet, but it feels a little confining. But in the wintertime, it's nice because you don't, all the hot air isn't in the top 5 foot of the room that you're in. It's kind of a little bit more compressed. Maybe they work like that.
I don't know.
You don't think they're cuddling just all that air? That they're keeping it cool in there and they cuddle just for heat?
I mean, sure, cuddling for heat makes sense. They should just sleep in a big pile, as much as the person on the bottom can handle. Much pressure.
Happy pile. I did think it was something sweet though, because everyone's helping everyone. Like there's this old woman in a wheelchair, and like 2 people got and like just like expertly moved her so she could sleep with them. It's I see the appeal. Like if you're a person that sleeps alone, being able to have this kind of warm, familial, easygoing, physical connection kind of thing, it does seem nice.
Yeah, I don't know if they value that. That's still, I guess, an open question, but there are some hints about it. I think you're right. I will also say this is confirmation. I think, again, of something we were all kind of assuming is that they had congregated all their resources in one place, and they were probably living on top of each other. Because why wouldn't you if it was just you? Like that's just like living alone.
Right.
It's not, it's not suffocating. It's not a problem in any way.
Can we talk about I don't know how to say it. I was going to say the horniness level of the hive.
The end of the
but maybe
second
I want to talk about like
levels.
It's the Zion sex scene stuff. Like that was out of Zoja's mouth as a suggestion, and I want to harken back to the immortal Nellie's "It's Getting Hot in Her," where there's that part where he breaks it down. He's like, I got a pole in the basement, and the gal that I guess he's talking to the song's like, what? Like she's offended, and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. And she goes, oh, and he goes, unless you're going to do it, because like I got big Nelly energy from Zoja with like, this isn't going to turn into this sex pit from the Matrix. Oh no, unless you wanted to. Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be crazy. Because I get the idea, and this built from like how excited they are about her writing more Wakaro. We talked about this in a feedback episode that once you absorb all the human consciousness, you are and like maybe that renders you incapable of making new art, or it certainly makes you incapable of surprising yourself with, I guess, new art. So like Carol is this like, she is the only game in town, man, for entertainment.
Yeah.
And the way this hive mind would like hungers for this new stuff. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if I bet that I wonder if we get to the point where they don't want to convert people like Manusos and Kumba and Carol because they're so. I imagine passively keeping an eye on what Zoja's doing with Carol these past 2 weeks has been one of the #1 most watched, monitored sensory feeds of the entire Pluribus, because they're interacting with this person might shit talk, they might beat us, they might not.
Yeah, there's a lot of that vibe going on in this episode where, as much as they're discovering things about her or trying to feel her out, she's doing the same. And I do think it's why I say at the end, like this might be an op to try and rip Zosha from the hive, because
I think you're not wrong. Yeah,
she's doing things like that make things personal. And she might just be the only person who has that power, like you're saying, as somebody who is world famous for something that they clearly adore. At least enough of them did that's now the general opinion. Yeah, I think it's possible.
See, I think that stuff on that makes sense on the side, like a niche thing like Waikaro might do really well in a hive mind, because like a lot of people say they hate Twilight, right? The vast majority of people that say they hate Twilight just hate the idea of Twilight, and they never engaged with it, right?
Sure.
Whereas the people that say they like Twilight has almost they're probably seen all the movies, they've read the books, they've read interviews, they've done right. So like, and the only time the hive mind would have a big difference of opinion is like a super popular divisive thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would love to know what the Hive Mind thinks about episode 9. The Rise of the Skywalker.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I haven't seen episode 9 yet. I'd love to know. But
you loved Rey's story in that? Oh, you thought that the way the Death Star dagger worked was just so smart, and tell us more.
Right.
But yeah, like the only people who've engaged in Wakaro stuff are the people who have really, like, there's probably people right now. I didn't finish the book, but like, you're not, it's hard to be a dedicated hater to hate watch or hate read something. So they might have a natural advantage.
Yeah. I mean, at the point that you're joined, I guess you gain the knowledge of the books. So you have read, literally every person who's part of this has read it.
But it's going to be,
but they don't have an opinion on it.
Whose opinion lens is being filtered through? Right. The people reading it for the first time are going to be reading it as Wakaro fans, and the people that aren't,
and the people, they will be. Yeah, you're right. They will be reading it as people who've read it all.
Yeah, it's like an English professor is like, oh my god, this prose sucks. But yeah, I see what people are saying about it because this is a really beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Sure.
Plus, like, that's the other thing. Part of what makes me so pissed off about reading a bad book, for example, is the sheer amount of time I put into it. Like, I put 15 hours thinking that this was going to be worth it, and then you shit in my eyes, author, in the last chapter, and now I'm pissed, right? Because I've read the whole fucking thing. Most people, if they don't finish it, I don't think they... like stuff that I just didn't finish. Like I probably don't even remember the bad shit that I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I'm going to stop reading it, Yeah,
I will say there might be a fairly large recalibration that needs to happen after this episode, though, because in that massage scene, Carol learns something that she writes on the blackboard or the whiteboard as the individual feels and then everyone knows.
Yeah.
So I think like when we're talking about things like feeling a certain way about Wakaro, that might not be a thing. They might just know that Wakaro exists, know every detail about it, but the individual person who's talking with Carol at the moment is the one who's feeling the joy of having read Wakaro.
So you're talking about the tall guy in the biker pants. He was not a Wakaro fan, but now he's recalling it, and he's recalling it through the people who know it most, probably, and that is giving him the like glowing feeling.
No, not exactly, because like if the individual feels, I mean, they say like if we felt everything that everybody felt, we'd get overwhelmed. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So they don't feel when somebody dies. They don't feel. I would assume they don't feel anything about Wakaro on a like large level, on a conglomerate sort of level. They just know that it exists.
See, I took that as the same way. I'm aware of the sensation in my butt that I'm sitting on the chair, but until I thought about that, I wasn't, right? Like humans are all about like you get this really strong smell and you keep smelling for like 10, 15, 20, you just habituate to it. But like if you concentrate about like, is that still smell? You can probably smell it again, right?
Sure.
Or like you can drown out noise if you're absorbing something. I took it as like that, like a focus thing. Like Zoja, when she started thinking about the deaths, she's like, oh wow, someone just got impaled in. Like she can be aware of it, but it kind of goes to a dull roar. And like, I think the homeostasis is also a really important way to look at this. But maybe we can put that off until we get to that scene.
Yeah, sure. I think that does make some sense, though, for sure.
The next morning, Carol and Zoja exchange shy goodbyes at Carol's driveway. And as soon as Zoja is clear, she throws herself back into the whiteboard project to remind herself that these people eat people. And a lot of people who were on the Carol's double agent were probably pumping their fists like, yeah, Carol. And this, and the way this happened was not so much as that she's like, oh, I'm gathering information, and more of like, I cannot forget. I like this person so much, and there's so many things I find attractive about this. I cannot forget this giant red flag.
Oh yeah. Yeah, writing that down. And I do wonder like what it means to her that she fell asleep there. Is this trying to get inside the minds of the Pluribus, right? Like become one of them for a day to understand them better, or
and to play kind of a little hard to get, like, oh, I don't know, I could make for myself, and make it them that they're trying to withdraw, they're trying to entreat her.
There is an element of that, like she's trying to draw them closer while getting more information and maintaining her distance, which they also know. So it's like this interesting spy game that's happening here, which I really like.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a short scene. The next morning, Zojia and Carol are hiking on a mountain ridge with a great view of surrounding desert valley and floor. And they discuss their thoughts on train horns and whistles and the inner workings of a telepathic hive mind.
I do wonder if so they are out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
I kind of wonder if this is Carol trying to test the range of their communication. Like, asking her, like, do you know this thing about me? It could be two things. A, it could be that she's testing the range. B, it could be that she's testing whether they can tell when she's lying, because the idea that she would never have told anyone that she likes the sound of train horns is a little...
Man, do you think, because like as soon as she said that, I instantly thought of like 12 thoughts that I probably have private in my head that I've thought about, but I've never actually shared it with anybody, you know, like the times I've been camping alone and I saw something, or I was out and saw a particular waterfall. Like, you know, I probably had, but I'd never shared that with anybody. There's gotta be stuff you got inside there. You more than anybody. Yeah,
I'm sure.
That stuff locked up there.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the question is, do you think this is one of them? Or is this a test? Can they tell when I'm lying?
No, I don't think it didn't feel like a test. It could be, though. I did like your idea of the range, because like the first time I watched this, I thought that was a sloppy edit, but what they're doing is suggesting that like Zojia made the guy blow the train horn so she could hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then she's like, oh, how'd you do that? Oh, the electric, you know, and it's like, is it like radio? And she didn't deny it was, but she's like, well, radio is something you gotta send a transmission and receive it. This is more homeostatic, like breathing. Do you know what homeostasis is?
As I understand it, it's just like a process that happens in the unconscious part of the mind. That's like, kind of like you said earlier, focusing things up to where we're not overwhelmed.
Yeah. A lot of what life is adaptations is because life requires a certain temperature, requires a certain chemical balance, requires a certain concentration of fluids and minerals and all that stuff. Like the cell membrane was life's very first attempt at homeostasis. You know, like, God, I got all this DNA information. I need to wrap it in a liptide layer so I can have an inside bubble of what I need for life. But yeah, it's like everything about homeostasis, our temperature control for people like us, they're endotherms, and our breathing, and going down to sodium channels inside your cells, making sure that the water inside your cell isn't too salty or too salt free. It's just right electrolyte balances. But
stuff
also,
that
it's
has
like
to happen in the body that we don't actively control.
But also take a look when she says breathing, because breathing's interesting, because breathing is you take oxygen into an organ central to your chest. But respiration's also about pumping that oxygen around where it needs to go and then bringing carbon dioxide back and exhaling. And to me, this statement combined with the Pluribus logo, you know, that like points of light where like a sound wave is rippling through it and refracting over.
Yeah.
This is like the explanation of how this hive mind works. That like, I imagine standing right next to somebody gets impaled on an iron fence would be a lot to deal with, just because like the visual, you're seeing it happen, you're feeling it happen, you're experiencing it. But that feeling probably diffuses as it hits more and more people and over greater area. And if you think about it, it's kind of like, you know, you can think about if you think hard enough, you can isolate that feeling. but also it's kind of like background. Like I imagine like the massage scene, right? Like I imagine everyone in that room was feeling the massage at some point, and a person around the world wasn't, but if they were aware of it, maybe they could tune in and feel that feeling.
Yeah, that's why breathing is the perfect example, right? Because if I don't want to think about breathing, my body will just take over homeostatically and make me breathe. But I can also think very intentionally about my breathing. So
right.
That's a pretty good way to think about it.
Do you think that the hive mind can keep things private, but it's like breathing to where like it's something they can only do for a certain amount of time? And then, because like we do have conscious control of our breathing with the following limit until we lose consciousness, and then our body takes over and starts breathing for us. So you can't,
or until we can't
asphyxiate yourself to death just with your own body. You'd have to have plastic bags and garden hoses with automobiles involved. But
sure.
Yeah. So do you think there's something like that? Or are we going way too far of the like breathing? That, like maybe they can keep some things private, but it's like just the way carbon dioxide builds up, those independent thoughts build up until the mental pressure just pushes them out.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking in terms of keeping things private. I was thinking more in terms of shifting focus to something. Like it's always there in the background, like you were saying, but they just don't tune into it all the time.
I imagine that
maybe
Carol's got to be of a special interest. I imagine that a lot of the world is preoccupied with her, even maybe more so than any other survivor, because Manusos is very against them, but has zero contact with them. Most of the others seem to be pretty accepting of the hive, and Carol's the one that's like, you know, caught in this half. And I bet that makes her a real source of fascination.
Yeah, and the fact that they can't join her, I mean, you know, much like the others, it's
never knows what she's capable of. She's constantly surprising, entertaining.
Yeah, I do wonder if that will ever turn around, like you said. Is it going to be a case of eventually the hive mind so values her individuality that they don't want to absorb her anymore, just want to keep her as a pet? I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah. Kazoo reserve, well, if we do this and then we've done our biological, I just realized this about the biological imperative and building a giant antenna, and we kind of talked about how it's not the hive mind's goal to kill 99.9% of humanity for efficiency or anything like that. It's just a byproduct of the other thing. Because if the species dies out, or the species goes to a level where they can no longer maintain the massive energy infrastructure that they need to keep blasting the signal in space, then they would stop reproducing. So I really don't think the hive mind would want humanity to go extinct. I think they want a stable society that can maintain this engine for as long as they can.
I think so. That makes sense to me.
I don't know if that's a big, but yeah, like I do think that. So that means that if they were in danger of falling below that critical threshold, they would do breeding and probably aggressive eating to fulfill the biological perspective or priority, right?
Sure.
Am I going too far into this?
No. I'm just laughing at the term aggressive eating. That sounds like something that would be disturbing to watch, but you could be right. Like this biological imperative to spread themselves, I think overwrites everything.
Seems.
But there's one counterexample, and that is needing their consent to take their DNA, or not DNA, their stem cells. That is primary. Like not forcibly assimilating these other 13 people is the primary
it's so
overriding
far
thing.
Removed that like, well, we don't know how to cure you. We know how we could figure out how to cure you. If we knew how to cure you, we might just like strap you down and inject you. But since we need to do something that's tangibly related, but not exactly related, in the same way that they couldn't build and design robots that would pick apples for them, right? That would be, because they're building it. There's this like kind of like enough of a disconnect where like, God damn, we can't do it.
Consent is windfall to them.
Yeah. Like it's like, again, if they had a cure, they would inject it into her. but they don't have a cure. They have a theory of a cure that they need her to participate, and that's where it falls apart.
Yeah, could be that. Could also be they just don't need her. Like, it's not a biological imperative to have one more human. That's not going to do them any good, right? That's just another human that'll starve, like she says.
What if the impulse to convert Carol is just as strong as the impulse causing them to build a antenna the size of Africa and use all the world's power to power it?
Okay. What if it is?
It's reproductive. I'm just saying it like you're saying that can't be, and I'm like, what if it is? What if, Carol is just as sexy to them as a whole planet of intelligent people?
I mean, that's not very logical, but I don't know that they think necessarily perfectly logically. I don't know.
That might be the one thing they're not logical about, right? Everything else is a very coherent, egalitarian, communist, classless, stateless society, except for this. We have to breed. We have to spread ourselves. That's the one thing that's irrational. But
yeah,
anyway,
maybe. But they do. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they just don't have a solution yet. I will say I find it enjoyable when they're talking about the train and they're like, well, why do you keep those trains running? And they say they're doing food distribution via train. And there's this moment where Carol, because she raises her eyebrows because she knows that when they say food, they're talking about people. And the Pluribus is also a little slow to respond to this, because they're choosing their words.
Yes. They know this is touchy with Carol, so.
But it's really messed up too. Like you've got this the loneliest sound in the world coming from a train full of liquefied human bodies, just honking its horn at her. That's, ooh. How do you process that?
If there are a lot of those moments human bodies, it's also got uncomfortable, like Holocaust type undertones too. Because I took it as just like they're moving food. It could be cars full of dog food and lettuce that's about to spoil, but eventually, you'd think it's going to be almost exclusively human.
Yeah, at least some portion of it is. So
yeah, like the human byproduct is going to be an increasing part of their diet until they can figure out some other way to secure food.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Carol and Zojia get a couples massage at a spa, and Carol learns more about how the Pluribi process sensory information. Later that night, Zojia shows Carol Kepler 22b, the planet where all this trouble started at, through a large telescope. Actually, keep from getting correction. She showed him the star. There's no way you could see the fucking planet with that telescope. Anyway. Zojia is moved by experience to share the Pluribi's mission with her, to use the Earth's resources to send a powerful signal into space to feed their biological imperative to reproduce. This leads to so much whiteboarding that Carol runs out of ink.
On the last letter, too. Damn.
Yeah. At first, I didn't get it. Like, because I was so busy absorbing the information, and I paused it just as she got up, and I saw this hoe with a question mark, and I'm like... the fuck does hoe mean? Hydrogen, oxygen, hoe? Are you saying something about Zojia? And then I felt silly about 5 seconds later. But
yeah. I was doing the same thing though. I was voraciously devouring this board because she's added like 6-7 more bullet points to it. I got the whole thing here. We could talk about some of the things she's added, but like honestly, it's everything in this episode is one of these things.
Yeah, there's a couple things that are maybe implied by the episode, but aren't say, or maybe things that are still open questions, like, she's feeded into some of her previous things, like they want to fucking change me, but that now has need my consent, stem cells added to it, but they eat people has windfall. She's added to that, quote unquote, windfall. 7 is a communal sleeping, cuddle puddle, body heat, energy efficient with sex, question mark.
And 7 and 8 are connected, potentially. She has that written next to it.
Communicate via the body's electric charge. Yeah, well, I mean, if it's an electric field, it seems like it'd be more it has to be more biomechanically efficient to have the masses of people together. It's like it'd be like bringing like a transistor that's separated by the continental United States is going to be slower, use a hell of a lot more energy, and be less efficient than transistors that are on the same silicone wafer, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So it might be about, I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, it might be about, organizing things into massive data centers, right?
And then I can't help but see that she, next to the electric charge thing, wrote radio, telepathy. I mean, telepathy is less likely, but the radio thing, I mean, directly connects this back to Menusos.
Right. Trains to transport food, parenthetical, more efficient. And then individuals feel, everyone knows, is how she explains the sensory input.
And her hive mind freakouts, the mass freakouts.
So does that mean that, like, is that literally true? Like, only Zosha and Carol feel the massage. The ladies massaging her don't feel the massage, but they know what it feels like. So it's almost like remembering what a massage feels like, as opposed to experiencing it yourself.
Unless they can, like you said, tune into it, kind of channel that.
Yeah. And it says, and then this also has an addendum. Hive mind explains mass freakouts.
Yeah,
that everyone feels only. But yeah, if it's knowledge, you wouldn't think they'd freak out about it. It's the feeling behind it. So there's got to be some complexity here. Mm-hmm. Signal came from Kepler 22b, 640 light years away. It is a possible ocean world. You can actually read about this planet on Wikipedia. It's one of the few exoplanets that we've discovered that's right in the habitable range of a sun type star. What do they call it? A main sequence star. And they think it's between two.
As they say.
Class M. Yes, exactly. Thanks, Spock. It has a mass between 2 and 8 times the Earth. And that's about all they know about it. And then and she says, no clue on what the Keplons are like. And then 12 is building a giant antenna and using all the power in the world to send the signal into space.
And is this what she means when she says how?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well, it says
it's using up all world.
Yeah. Yeah, if you draw a line between the hoe and where it's pointing, it would point right up to the using up all the power in the world.
I mean, I don't...
Let me ask you this. I think it's a fascinating question. Would the hive mind choose more raw power with a shorter runtime, or would they optimize their signal to run for as long as possible, even that meant a sacrifice in raw power?
If I were doing it, I would try and make it run as long as possible. You have a better chance of someone intercepting it.
Yeah, because you're well, I mean, I guess you're trading, if you treat time like another axis, you're trading distribution in an XYZ axis for distribution in the T axis.
Yeah, that's true. And somewhere that bell curve will like meet up with the other bell curve, and you'll have your optimum.
For sure.
I don't know what it is though. Definitely, you need some time. If you blip it out there for a fraction of a millisecond, it's very unlikely that anyone will pick it up.
So she runs out of marker, which causes her to call up Zosha and ask for a favor. Which minutes later, well, I don't know how long it's been. Some moments later, Zosha drops the pins off to Carol, where the Pluribi are very curious about Carol perhaps working on a new installment of the Waikaro saga. OMG. It's the most exciting thing that's happened to Pluribus since the joining.
Yeah. I think in this scene, oh, well, she better keep the shades drawn because her board's right here by the window. But none of this matters. This is all bullshit. They know what she's writing. She knows that they know what she's writing.
I don't think that's true.
Not at this point. She doesn't know, but they already know that she's not writing Waikaro.
Well, how? What? Why are you saying that?
Because later in the episode, she says, just admit it. You know that I'll never stop. And they say, yes, we know.
What? That doesn't mean that they think that the whiteboard is connected to her never stopping, though. So, I mean, my position is I don't think they know what she's writing on that whiteboard and might assume it is Waikairo. But they do know she's working to stop them and against them. Or to set the world right, which is a different, there's enough gap in the terminology he uses to make me think that maybe she's warming around to okay, it's more a problem that this is unsustainable. Like, I can't accept in 10 years that 99% of the world's population is going to die off. Mm-hmm. And that's the first level of setting the world right.
Yeah, maybe I'm reading slightly too much into it. It could be it could just be that after all this manipulation that they're doing with her, they will say, yeah, we know you'll never actually stop, but they don't know that she's actively been doing things. But that seems pretty naive on the part of the world's foremost psychologist, foremost FBI investigator, foremost spy, foremost with all of the knowledge and skill of the entire planet Earth, they can't tell what Carol's trying to do here with them.
But they also got every actor in the world, right? And they can't hide their facial expressions when she's going somewhere that's disappointing or disturbing them. That should be the easiest fucking thing in the world. Don't use your face. Just keep a flat mask. Just keep smiling, Carol. Manusos is coming. Just keep smiling.
Maybe they don't think there's a need to. I don't know. But the chess thing stands out to me, where she suggests chess as a game they should play, and then immediately goes, "Oh fuck, that's a terrible idea."
But I think that's what they're doing with the chess versus croquet versus cards, is they're showing various levels, because literally a computer can play chess.
She can't beat their intellect.
Yeah. And this is just pure. Chess is just about how far in the future you can look and plan ahead, ultimately. Mm-hmm. Whereas croquet is not, and it'd be interesting to see them do obviously Zosha couldn't lift the same amount of weight that a world champion weightlifter could lift. Right. So there's some gap between physicality. And I wonder if they crapped out at croquet because that's just at the maddening gap where it's there's certainly some skill involved here, but it's also not like doing brain surgery. And we've already seen her fly, which that's another skill I feel is pretty easy to tell. If you had an experienced pilot that could see everything you're seeing and you're flying a plane, he could just tell you exactly what to do, and you could probably take off, land, and fly that plane. Mm-hmm. What's something that needs a lot of muscle memory,
Doing parkour.
Kung Fu fighting. Mm-hmm. I want to see Carol Kung Fu fight somebody that has all the world's Kung Fu masters. And if she can beat them, then that would say a lot about how much muscle memory and just physical conditioning has to do with that stuff.
Yeah, but my point with the chess thing is she's not going to be able to match these people either psychologically. She just can't stand up to the combined expertise in psychology or
you're not saying she can't beat him in anything. You're just saying that the more it's a pure mental exercise, the less.
Which is to my point that I think the Pluribus knows exactly what she's doing this entire time, because what psychologist wouldn't?
One that's in love with their subject?
I mean, I guess that's a way to describe it, but it's also
that's stereotypical about psychologists, is that they overanalyze a relationship, but clearly not everyone does this. There's got to be psychologists to understand that I cannot, even though my partner's doing a whole bunch of things I could classify as manipulative or maladaptive, or it's no way to have a relationship to do that,
Sure.
So I'm saying it's what if they're in love with their patient? That's the whole reason you're not supposed to do that, because it compromises your professional judgment. So there's a little gap for them to be unaware.
And there has to be a gap. If she's literally playing a game against the world's most intelligent and fastest and most impressive on every level person, she's done. She loses 100% of the time. There has to be some 100%. Gap. But my argument here is the entity known as Pluribus knows what she's doing. It has to know intellectually. Whether it can resist it, because Zosha is so in the tank for her, I don't know. But they know exactly what she's doing here. They have to.
The thing is, when you say exactly, I'm interpreting that as like every thought and action she has, where
I don't know they know what's written on her board. They know that she's
then I can agree.
She's not working to like become part of Pluribus or understand.
She's not becoming
Hive
curious. No. Yeah. She's not trying to empathize but I think the Hive is hoping that by answering this question, she will. And it seems to be working to some extent, but yeah. So if you say knows exactly what she's doing is like essentially that that everything that we say can and will be used against us in an undoing, joining kind of thing. I think you're right. But like, I do think that she has a good deal of privacy. I don't think like Zosha staying over. I don't think Zosha, even if she's in her house sleeping with Carol, would get up in the middle of the night, go down and look at her whiteboard.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't think they buy her bullshit when she stammers and goes, writing? Yeah, what Caro, right? They see that. They see exactly what's happening there.
Just like her being embarrassed that she stole the O'Keefe and coming up with this ridiculous, well, if the buffalo got in there and started rubbing against the paintings.
Rubbing against the paintings. I love it.
That's the other minor thought I had. Do you think the Pluribi are going to secure the buildings, and will that bite Carol in the ass later? Like if they have a big breakup. Now it's like, imagine like the smartest locksmiths in the world securing a building, and now Carol, who's just a regular ass person.
Mm-hmm. But she could ask them to, you know what? I've rethought. That's a waste of energy and effort. Just don't bother with the museums. Yeah. Let the animals rub on the paintings. In fact, rub a few on them.
I'm saying in like a big Carol hive mind breakup scenario, she would be in a position where she can't just roam. But I don't know. That seems like they're not going to do that again. Why would they?
Yeah, they've done that.
We have covered so much stuff that we are on now into croquet. Okay, Carol challenges all 7 billion Pluribi to a game of croquet. Zosha wants to know her best day of writing, and when Carol says such a thing does not exist, springs a surprise gift on her. The Pluribi have painstakingly recreated the old burnt down diner that she got her start in writing at, which eventually sends Carol running away in emotional distress and panic.
Yeah, the croquet scene, we've talked a lot about the important details of this, showing that there is some kind of like instructive muscle memory that they can impart to an individual. Zosha is showing, here's the other thing. Zosha is showing a personality. We wondered, is there a personality in there? Can they manifest the not just the facts of who someone was, but the feeling of who someone was? Seems like they can, because Zosha is laughing. She's making jokes.
Yes.
She's acting like a human. I don't know if it's like the human Zosha, but that's a human.
The thing. That's where I was going to push back on, because it's like, there's a lot of things they said throughout this episode when like Carol, like when she uses obvious sarcasm, they're like, that's sarcasm. And she's like, yeah, bingo. Like, I think they're getting to a better read of Carol. Mm-hmm. Like, because like they'd be afraid to tell her she sucks and we're going to kick her ass because she might go into a conniption fit. But now they know she kind of likes that little bit of trash talking. And the amount of flair that this Unimind has, where it hits her with the da-da-da-da-da-da, you suck on the scoreboard, was pretty good. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, we didn't get an answer to muscle memory thing. She said, maybe, or maybe you just suck. So it's like, we didn't get quite and croquet is such an edge case that
right.
I wouldn't know. But
we also get that.
I was thinking that maybe this is their recreation, like the Carol show. It's like, it's an unexpected side effect of them not being able to convert her, but they've got like a one-woman Truman show here.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody can tune in. I will also say this scene tells us something that the next scene is going to, I guess, place an asterisk on, or an addendum. But she hates the process of writing. At least
a lot of writers do.
Process of writing.
Yeah. Dan Harmon once said, I hate writing. I love the feeling of have written.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I only write to get the feeling that once it's done and people are like, oh, yeah, this is pretty dope. That I like that. I hate fucking writing. I kind of feel that way about a lot of things I have to do for money, essentially.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody does, right?
Right. So it's like, if people were just writing for passion and pleasure and they didn't need to like sell it to eat, I wonder if that's what causes a lot of the tortured artist archetype that they talk about. Because there gotta be, although the first thing I thought when they talked about, don't you have other authors rolling around in there? I'm like, George R.R. Martin. Did he survive to joining? Does he have an ending? Is it exactly what HBO gave us? What? I gotta know.
Yeah, they could play with that, much like they did with the John Cena stuff. That would be a fun thing. Especially Apple making this show. They could really just tease. Like, put up the billboard that says, you suck, HBO. By doing some elaborate joke about that. But I love how this dovetails into the next scene, which is her reminiscing, having like nostalgia satisfied, nostalgia fulfilled. It's like the most distilled form of actual real grabbing onto nostalgia you could ever do. Having this place that burned down recreated down to the detail. They put tape on the booth where it got cut or something, and that's something they didn't have to add, but they did. It's a detail. Brought the waitress back. This is perfectly recreating a moment in her life that she didn't value at the time. She hated at the time. It was grueling. It was horrible. And yet she values it so deeply. Yeah.
And like, I saw a lot of things on the stream I did with Pete last night. By the way, Pete Pepper's doing I don't think anyone on Bald Move will be on this panel, but he's doing one every Sunday night at 9 p.m. And it's a lot of fun. I had a blast last weekend, and I'll be back for the finale. But check out Pete Pepper's YouTube channel. We got that link in the thing. I saw a lot of people saying about like the conflict between how efficient these people are and how extravagantly they spend on Kumba and Carol. And I'm like, I don't think people understand that there are about 1,000, maybe a couple of thousand people in the world that live like Kumba does.
Oh, yeah.
They get up in the morning and they say, I want to take a jumbo jet to, I don't know, the Grand Cayman Islands and hunt koala off the coconut trees. And there are people say, well, koalas don't live on the Grand Cayman Island and the palms there don't grow coconuts. They'd be, you don't understand. I want you to go and get koalas, treat them for herpes, bring them to Grand Cayman Island, plant the fucking, tie coconuts to the palm, and they could have it done. We're talking about a world that can satisfy several thousand people's wish for anything. And now you get just down to 13 people. This is trivial for the hive mind to cater to anyone's individual whims. It's a drop in the fucking bucket.
Yeah, so they still have the manpower and the infrastructure. Not that stuff has not gone away yet.
You're seeing is an act of love. Because, you know, like this isn't like a rich businessman that's buying, you know, a $50,000 necklace to impress Julia Roberts, the stripper he's hired for a date or whatever. You know, this is a person like hand carving something very meaningful for you, right? Like this is someone.
Yeah, this is carving an ice sculpture so that Andy McDowell will fall in love with you.
Right, spending 5,000 years getting good at it. Speaking of Groundhog Day, that's how we got started, by the way. We started watching the movie Groundhog Day for 24 hours because Jim thought it'd be funny. And suddenly we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity 10 years later. Who knew? But yeah, exactly. This is, I got the idea that this is like the equivalent of a very homemade, meaningful gift rather than just a display of wealth and power.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I don't see anything fantastical about this, or it is a waste in the strictest of senses. But if you love someone, there's nothing you won't waste. to please them.
And that's the thing, is like the world provides this level of lifestyle to a few thousand people and sends rockets to the moon and has a large stockpile of nuclear weapons and operates aircraft carriers all over. And it's not like that drains the world's the world operates, and with enough left over can provide a few thousand people with lives that would make an Egyptian pharaoh blush. So,
that's true. But how do you even process this, man? That's just like, and she doesn't process it well. It's all like, she realizes that she's being manipulated. That turns her off.
Because I was going to ask, why the reaction at the end? What are the things that cause it?
In my mind, it's several fold, but she realizes, she's being manipulated. This is an intentional thing. They put so much effort into this, right? It's not just that, the place closed down, they had to open it back up and put some coffee beans in the machine. No, they built this from scratch, just for her.
Old.
Right, to recreate how it was. They have people driving around. 6 days,
but it's got dinosaur bones or millions. Like it's like that's a lot. That's love and effort when someone puts that much effort into making your home.
They have people driving around on the streets outside just to create the ambiance.
Yeah.
They have patrons sitting in there chatting about who knows what and eating and a cook in the back banging dishes around.
This is the James Bond plus, right? You know, and Manussa's asked her, the Hive just did this for her because they thought she'd love it. And it's, well, okay. I realize I'm a little bit too naive and trusting, because I was seeing Carol of more of like reluctantly being the spy, where you were seen as more of the active. How much of what the Hive is doing is deliberately manipulative, and how much of it is an act of love? Because it's like, that's the thing. A dude drives up for a first date with 50 roses and gives it to you. If I was a gal, that would be a massive red flag, because I'm like, what the fuck kind of obligation is this guy trying to lay on me, right? I'm very Manussos about that. But if you'd been dating a guy for 3 to 6 months to a year and he gave you a dozen roses, everybody would think that was sweet, right?
Sure.
Because one's an attempt to manipulate you, probably to get you to put out on the first night, and the other is someone who's doing something lavish because they want to show how much they love you.
Yeah.
I felt like I would be just as I'm uncomfortable to say that Carol's all one way or another, I think the same thing about the Hive mind. I don't think it's all about manipulation and distraction and keeping her busy. I think they also are falling for Carol.
Yeah, I mean, it's about motive, and I can't really get inside their heads. I know one of their motives is to make Carol happy. And these nostalgia plays would certainly do it. And
also, I think they genuinely want another Waikaro. And if and their way of thinking, boy, if I get her the new laptop, like they're watching her like struggle with legal pads, and like if I could put her back in her happy place, maybe she'd write more. I think that's like these are, and I'm not saying these are competing. I'm saying these are all part of the emotional stew that's going into this.
It's what I love about what Vince Gilligan and team usually does, is they are doing more than one thing with a scene. Yes. They're not just going to tell you, hey, Carol's being manipulated. They're going to tell you something about the person trying to manipulate her, or people in this case. They're going to tell you something about her in her response to it. It's very complex. And I think Carol, for her part, is seeing the manipulation, and that's why she reacts one part of why she reacts that way. The other part is she realizes how much she felt during this moment. She loved this. This brought her back genuinely to a time. Yeah, that she probably hated at the time, but now she loves it. You know, it was hard.
I don't know, man. It reminded me a lot of like the early days of Bald Move, where like, you know, we got our shares of like, you know, late night, fucking accidentally deleted a podcast, have to re-record another one. Internet went out, had to drive a McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning and upload it over their Wi-Fi. Like that, I don't even think that was miserable at the time. I was literally sleeping on your floor. Driving back to Indianapolis to record 2 days worth of podcasts and then coming back, because I was also like, but then I don't think of those times as bad. I think those are like some of the greatest times in my life because we were like trying to build something and it was working.
That's the thing, yeah. And I think that's why there's that nostalgia there for her, and honestly for me with the old days ball move. It's because like you have something to work toward, and that struggle that you're feeling can be super rewarding. And I think this pairs nicely with what Kumba is feeling right now, where he's just living a carefree life, no obstacles, no struggles, no real point to it. Right. I think Carol and Carol gets upset in this scene, not just because she's being manipulated or she's falling for it, but also because it's gone. This time is like, it's that slap of nostalgia when you realize, oh shit, I can't actually have that thing again. It's not even possible. Right. Even if you made the set to the T exactly how I remembered it, brought the waitress back, had everything perfect, it's just not that anymore to me. It's different.
you can move back into the basement apartment with the cement floors and a musty carpet, and I could sleep on it. And I could go get up and drive to North Side and code all day and come. But for first, I'm 49 years. I don't know if I could. Yeah. Like, you can't go back. And the other thing is, like, I think this is the other thing that the hive mind don't understand is Carol didn't like writing because she was at this rundown bar with a nice waitress and all this stuff. She liked writing, and all these hardships that she underwent were the sign of her love and the thing that made it so rewarding. Like, you can't just like design the perfect writing cocoon and put her in it and like now she's in her happy place. It doesn't work that way. It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
It's inseparable.
And it's not even just that this moment of nostalgia is going to slip through her fingers. It's that she will never get a day like that again because there's no one to write for. That's gone. Even if she fell back in love with writing and enjoyed the process and everything, there's no reason to do it.
I wonder if she could, as an experiment, write an episode, a chapter of Wakaro so bad that even the fans would turn against her. Because like I've observed that when like a show is popular but starts to go bad, the hardcore fans don't see it because maybe they even lean hardcore into like nonsensical fan service. Well, that makes fans really happy in the short term, but eventually they're going to realize, oh, this thing doesn't have any good characters or ideas anymore. It's just trying to hit me and my member berries. Mm-hmm. Because what is she going to write so 7 billion people can read it and tell her it's awesome? And then just as an experiment, she writes a deliberately really bad chapter.
Person. Yeah.
That's one person, but it's 7 billion. I don't know.
Yeah,
she introduced the concept of kicking 7 billion people's butts. So I'm sure you could blow 7 billion people's minds with a turn of phrase.
That's true.
The other thing that disturbs her is the fact that they're using people as props. That like, she knew Bree.
Yeah, with Bree.
This was her shit job that she escaped, went to Florida, met the man of her dreams, got married, and now they drug her back here just so she could be a marionette and pretend. That's so there's like 5 different things that disturb Carol about this.
Oh yeah.
So Zoja later on that night goes to visit Carol, and Carol's waiting for her on the balcony, like some kind of Gone with the Wind encounter. And things get real over drinks. Carol's tired of all this we stuff. She wants to start hearing me, myself, and I from Zoja, which turns out to be a struggle. Carol accuses them of trying to distract her from her important world-saving work, even though the Pluribus lifestyle, while nice seeming on the surface, is psychotic and unsustainable. Zoja responded with an attempted kiss, which Carol processes a moment and then returns with what I'm going to call hunger and desperation.
I take issue with Carol's myopic view here that the way that humanity has operated for the last several thousand years is any more unsustainable than what the Pluribus is doing. But I also agree
it's on a longer time frame. Like, it would take us at current present like another 100, 200 years to really shitify this place, but they're doing it in 10.
We can do it tomorrow with enough Carol's with atomic bombs.
Someone pushes the right buttons, and yeah, we just end this today.
Yeah, but it does seem like she's on one end of a spectrum, they're on the exact opposite end, and both of them need to move toward the middle. And I just wonder how pliable Pluribus is.
Yeah. They've shown a credible amount of flexibility, except when it comes against that biological process, that biological imperative. It's funny because as soon as Zosia confirmed that she could feel pleasure on an individual basis, I was like, oh, this is Vince telling them they're eventually going to bone. I wasn't expecting it to happen this episode.
Not at all. That was so much faster than I thought, but it made sense too.
Also, that's textbook manipulation. Like we talk about this all the time. When someone's having this extreme emotional reaction and they're distraught and the person just steps forward and gives them a big old wet kiss and they fuck. Mm-hmm. That's not what they need right now. It might be what they want or something, but it's not you're there's an emotional vulnerable time and you're taking advantage of it. And it's like, Zosia for sure knew that. And I thought that was interesting. That why she's talking about this extreme manipulation using people, that she kind of does that.
And it's all out in the open now too with them, right? They say, yes, we know you will never stop fighting us, but here's a big smooch. Let's continue this manipulation train that we're on.
Might as well.
She knows it. But here's the thing. They've set this up really well, I think. They gave us that scene where Carol drugged herself and recorded herself and said, why she got to be so goddamn fuckable? And they've shown us enough of her coming around to the idea that there's an individual in there somehow, that I could see this being a thing. And also that this, I think, is just completely an act, except for the fact that she likes some things about her and she's drunk right now. She's drinking. If you see that on the balcony, that's the first thing we see in this scene.
Yeah, and she invites her in saying, you're going to drink. Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a bit of maybe post-coital recalculation of what happened, to where I'm manipulating her now, right?
Carol's experienced post-nut clarity here. All right.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I do think it's mostly because she's drunk and Zosia's pretty fuckable, and that's why this happens. Yeah, but
she came at her with her lips. Yeah.
Then it's pretty convenient to get Zosia into her life, start manipulating back emotionally, see what avenues she can explore there, because she hasn't really tried that to date.
Talked about this, but I was surprised that Zosia had so much trouble with pronouns, but that shows you how that shit can be tricky, man. Zosia does not think of the body she's in as her. She thinks of it as a collective we. And when your eyes are telling and your mind is telling you one thing, and that shit gets weird, but seems like, and she's still struggling with it 2 weeks later, because you want to go on to the next scene, the morning, the next morning that happens 2 weeks later? Or no, I guess this is the next morning. This is the very next morning.
With Wakaro.
Carol wakes up early and writes the very first chapter in a new Wakaro book. That's a cool publishing. Since money doesn't matter anymore, just go back to the old days of just doing serial novels.
Chapter by chapter, yeah.
I love the idea of serial novel, because you can't, Andy Weir is the most recent one I can think of doing it for The Martian, but the idea that you are locking in chapters that you can't go and change the story. That's seems cool. She gives it to Zosia for a test reading, and surprise, surprise, Zosia loves it. This ushers in an apparent 2 weeks of bliss, with Zosia and Carol cohabitating with each other. One morning over omelets, Zosia recounts a story from her childhood, and Carol realizes she might actually be falling for her/them. When Zosia gets a troubled look on her face and informs Carol she'll be receiving a visitor.
This might be it's a bad thing for humanity, but it might be a decent thing for Carol overall, because now she can finally admit who she is. She doesn't have to hide it anymore. She just turned Raban into a woman.
Yeah,
like he was always
canonically.
Meant to be.
It wasn't a retcon. She hasn't always been. She's going to transition to a woman through the caverns of Clitoris or something like that.
Caverns of Avalor. Yeah, what's the point of hiding it, right? Like, who cares?
In Waikara, if you're a man, a woman that wants to be a man, you got to go to the Gorge of the Glands. But yeah, Caves of the Clitoris for the women.
They come up with, it's like the blank of the blank. Come on.
I will say that this reminded me when I was in like a junior high art class. Me and another guy who were into comic books would invent comic books together, and we'd come up with all this lore, and like sometimes we would like be trying to write, kind of think the next thing, and like the way you're just talking about like what if it's this, what if it's so, oh god, this creating something with somebody is, I mean, it's like I guess this is what it feels like to jam with people musically, but with I'm like co-writing and working with stuff, it just feels so good. And like this Zosia just so geeked out, and she knows everything about the lore and its implications, and it's great. Yeah. It's pretty great. Yep. Can I ask you something? Because I had this theory when I read the Winds of Waikaro excerpt, and I read the author's forward where they're saying these are massive spoilers for what to come, that Vince Gilligan was on at least some level telling us how things were going to go, with Raban coming back but not having any memories. I think it's interesting that the weapon that is used to free Raban, this compass, this activity, she said, I consider Lucasia using it, but really only Raban could do it. Are they telling us that Zosia is going to have to do the thing to disable the hive that Carol can't?
Potentially, yeah, I like that.
Like, could she send a radio? Like, could any of them at any time send a radio kill switch signal that would just, interfere with the hive if they wanted to? And they just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, but there's. I mean, they've got to be writing this, the parts of this fiction that they're writing for a reason. And I guess it could just be because
James
it's funny,
James Bond spy act aside, Carol's not acting when she's kind of on pins and needles to know what Zosia thinks about this book, right? Like,
it's tough because she hates
the way she
these
gets
books.
up and but how much of that was just cope and what do they call that thing where you feel like you're a fraud uniquely? You always feel like fraud complex, imposter complex, like that. She's like got all this money
if
for
everybody
doing
loved something that sucked, that she thought sucked, which is what she says. She thinks it sucks.
She thinks it sucks, but does she really think it sucks? Because she seems like she takes the lore awful serious, And like, also she had a lot of fun writing it. This is like her feeling bad about something that she did for pleasure and a release made her rich.
Yeah, no, it's complex. There's some weird fucked up dynamics that can happen there, but I don't know. That's the ultimate answer. I'm not sure.
Thank God Bold Move didn't make me rich, or I'd have all kinds of complicated feelings about it.
Sure. Thank God we're not rich. Oh.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, we'd have lost if we were one of those thousands of people who just make the world jump, and we'd have lost all kinds of touch with humanity. Okay, couple things here. I think this is the best evidence yet that the individuals are bubbling underneath that surface, because when Carol gets her saying me and I, and like her affect changed when she thought back to being a girl, that experience that she had, and her favorite food, not the hives, but her favorite food is mango because of this. I think Carol, like, that was a real moment that she shared, and she did the lame thing that Zosia's always, well, thank you for sharing that with me. But she was really touched to get to know Zosia the person. And I wonder if this is what Kumba was talking about. Like, yeah, we talked and got to know, like, you can do this if you bother.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Pluribus has a personality or many personalities that you could get to know, I suppose. And I also, I've got the working theory that this is all manipulation. She's not just living happily ever after here with Zosia. And so she's like trying to emotionally chip away at the armor that Zosha has. Like, okay, I can't match them intellectually, but can I emotionally coerce them somehow to do what I want?
Sexually. Carol's a sexual athlete,
Sure.
It turns out. She's
yeah.
She's got the magic touch. Wait till the hive mind gets a taste of this.
Mm-hmm. Forget all of the Olympians who would actually have, like, you know, the moves. They all died. They were all mid-swing.
Oh my God. They've got the combined absorbed knowledge of all the surviving international Olympic athletes that have fucked for decades at the Olympic Village. Like, everyone hears what a den of sin and inequity that is. All these hot, young, physically perfect people cohabitating. Oh my God. Carol, yeah, you can't. If Carol could compete with that. Wow.
I don't. It might be dangerous for Carol to have sex with Zosha, actually, given like what they assume her body can do if they're fucking Olympians.
You know, I thought about that too. That like Carol's like moaning and groaning, getting this massage, but I couldn't help but notice like they're doing a deep tissue massage on Zosha, who has visible shrapnel wounds that happened 40-ish days ago.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think like what it'd feel like to get massaged on a shrapnel wound.
Not good.
That's just 4 or 5 weeks old. But she said feels good.
But I don't know. I do think this is her trying to get as close as possible emotionally and physically to Zosha for her own ends to try and break her free. But I could be wrong.
What do you think of Zosha eating eggs? Are eggs windfall products from chickens?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
But you got to make... So here's the thing. Like, chickens will lay eggs if you get them inseminated and keep stealing their eggs. Do you think, and once you get them inseminated, you're done. You don't need a rooster anymore, technically. Do you think that the Pluribus are carefully husbanding a collection of chickens that are still laying eggs? Because like an egg-laying hen has about a 6 to 18 month window of their prime egg-laying years, and then they get lesser and lesser, and then they die. I don't think that the hive could gather chickens up and artificially inseminate them.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's still a few around laying eggs, they might try to keep that going for as like, oh, we'll keep the coop open. If they want to leave, they can.
Yeah,
but
I think that's what it is. Like,
because she's cooking and eating these eggs.
Okay, here is what I'll say. This is exactly what we see here. All we see Zosha do as far as egg interaction is she gets a whisk and she sticks it into a bowl of pre-cracked eggs and whisks them. So
Carol's done presumably could have done the cracking, could have done the harvesting.
Could have done what Kumba asks about, like, if I hunted a pig and brought it to you, would you cook it for me? Yes. Are
there fresh eggs left 48 days after the
That's what I was wondering. Are the eggs in the supermarkets still good? But they can package them up. I mean,
and you can refrigerate eggs and they last for a long time. Apparently, also a chicken egg. I did not know this until my sister started raising them. But a chicken egg, when the chicken squeezes it out, it is covered with this layer of slime that's a natural antibiotic layer, and you can store eggs at room temperature for weeks and weeks.
Yeah. That's
the reason you can't do that with store-bought ones is because they wash all that shit off and when they do all the processing.
And that's not true in certain places in the world. I guess that's like not unique to America, but it's something that we
probably super
specialize
hot.
in.
It's Oh yeah, the way that we guess a lot of countries don't do that, and it's weird for us to keep our eggs in fridge. But
yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because this is a gray area. I would say this is an animal byproduct that requires, like, you know, like again, like the cows that still require milking. I don't even know if that seemed to be wrong. Like, it's probably uncomfortable for them to not be, but like, you know, like nature's provided them with a way to like stop producing milk when it's no longer needed. I don't know. This is hints at a gray. They could have had him eating a lot of different things, but they intentionally had to make eggs, omelets that you got to break a few eggs to make. Yeah. So
it's a saying for a reason. Also, does this remind them of what Carol said about their tactics at the beginning at the joining. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess break a few eggs, I guess.
Gotta break a few eggs. They're also listening to jazz on the public radio station. Are they playing old tapes for Carol on the radio, or are they actually manning an NPR station and doing jazz hour just for her?
Either that or they're keeping like one Spotify server up. I don't know. I didn't see where the music was coming from. If it's coming from a radio, yeah, I guess they're still broadcasting from the local station.
Well, they gave us frequency signal. Like, this is 92.3. Okay. You're listening to, yeah.
Must be.
The other thing I thought was interesting is Zofia mentioned that she was on the shores of Gdansk looking at boats. Do you know where Gdansk is?
No idea.
It is on the northern coast of Poland. We had assumed that she was a woman, like an Arab woman, Arab Muslim woman that lived in Levant. I looked up, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe Poland's in the EU. Maybe they're kind of like cool with gay people. I actually looked it up. They're not particular. Like Poland ranks dead last in terms of gay rights amongst all the European Union nations.
Wow. Okay.
I still think they're doing something with like one thing that Carol might ask Zofia is, have you ever had sex with a woman before? What did you feel about having sex with women before? But yeah, I would suspect that. So, and the other thing is, like, I looked it up. There's not a huge Muslim population in Poland, as you'd imagine. They're less than 0.1% of the population, just a few thousand. Mm-hmm. So what are they doing? They're telling a story of an immigrant girl whose family moved to Poland after the Soviet bloc fell and created a tough life there. Mm-hmm. And then moved back to the Levant to, like, how did she find her way back? I'm just trying to piece together her backstory. And this was a big clue that she was not from the Middle East originally.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't piece it together. Not yet, anyway. I'm sure we'll get more information.
All right. The last of that bit of the scene is, Zofia getting a dark look on her face and saying that she's got a visitor coming. And there's a very brief scene of Manousos. Manousos Claus is coming to town. He's just 30 kilometers south of the U.S. border. He's 4.5 hours away from Albuquerque. Next episode, I'm betting we'll see Manousos and Carol.
Yeah,
together.
Almost certainly. I can't imagine it won't happen almost immediately.
They'll have a difficult emotional conversation and then passionately kiss.
Sure. Join it, cuddle puddle. Go make a Morpheus level sex riot down at the skating rink. I don't know.
Sex riot.
That's what this scene is, man. Yeah. Here's the thing. That look that Zofia gives when she says you're going to have a visitor. We all know it's Manousos. Mm-hmm. She's worried. That's like this is not good kind of thing. Is she worried about the potential of the two hooking up?
Exactly.
And the Pluribus is scared of them?
And they're angry. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think that they're scared and that, like, they know Carol's got, unless you're right and they've just gotten used to that, they know Carol's got a viable weapon to use against them.
Yeah.
And Manousos
has the will to use it.
Right. So I think that is very scary. And also I think that because that's the thing. It's like once they're here, they knew that they were getting closer and closer and closer the whole time.
Yeah.
It gave on second watch, it gave a little bit more sinister vibe to Zofia trying to push the pedal of this relationship so fast, because it's like, would they have a ticking time? Like, God, this guy's getting closer. He just woke up. You got to get in her pants. We got to get in her pants.
Yeah. That kiss.
I don't think it's all that because also I think they are falling in love with Carol for sure. Yeah. But there is an agenda. You can't deny that there's a possible agenda there. And so the sadness could be that this could end their kind of pleasurable salad days that they've had with Carol here for the last 2 weeks. It could be that they're worried about what they would get to do when they got together. And it could be disappointed that they didn't quite get their task accomplished before.
Maybe they're disappointed that they know, well, she's not going to have time to write Wakaro 5. She's going to be hanging out with Manusos now. Damn it. Chapter 2 will never happen.
Yeah, we just got a chapter last week, and now we're going to have, God knows how long, we're going to have to wait it.
20 years.
Look what happened to George Martin once he bought that theater.
Yep.
In Santa Fe. All went downhill. He is just so self-reliant, man. This guy's got this elaborate system of building a bandage on the back of an ambulance that he then pours hydrogen peroxide down his back. By the way, I detected the look of a little pleasure in that pain. It reminded me of, God, who was the albino monk in that stupid Dan Brooks, Tom Hanks, Da Vinci Code?
Silas.
Oh, apparently we have a Da Vinci Code fan. My producer just came in and without looking it up, had that person's name, Silas. There's this Opus Dei monk that wears all the good stuff. Like she's got the Martin Luther hair shirt. They've got this garter that has that bites into them and they tighten it up. And there's this scene where the guy, it's the guy who plays Dr. Maturin.
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany, again, world's biggest Da Vinci Code buff here. Paul Bettany.
I haven't even seen the movie.
What? Have you read the books?
Yeah. I've read the 5 Robert Langdon books.
Okay, so you're a big Robert Langdon fan, world-renowned author, Robert Langdon, but you're not a fan of the movies. Okay.
I just haven't checked him out.
I'm gonna have to pump this on a lunch at some point because this ain't adding up. Where was I going with this though? Robert Langdon,
self-flagellation. That's where you're
self-flagellation. When there's this one scene that sticks out in my mind where he's kneeling down and he just savagely pulls at that garter and it bites into his, and there's this kind of it hurts, but also it hurts so good. I felt like I got a little bit of that from Anusos, that he's taking pleasure in this suffering.
Yeah, I could see it. This guy is fanatical for sure.
Yeah. Do you think, as we've been talking about this gap between human desire and longing and achievement versus the struggle, do you think that there's something that Vince and company are hinting at when Zoja tells a story of her childhood that she was fascinated to the point of just really focused on all these new boats coming out of here and where are they going and who built them? And she says with a little bit of satisfaction, but a little bit of wistfulness. And now I know. Are they hinting that humans kind of need a little bit of mystery in their life to feel fulfilled? They have to have a big question of wonder. And I guess the Pluribus will always have Kepler 22b though. They're not starved for things to ponder and wonder about. It's just no longer the things you can satisfy by asking ChatGPT or looking it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah. No, I think you identified a subtlety for sure in that line.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good.
Surprise, surprise. This is the end of the episode. Again, Merry Christmas. Glad you tuned in to listen. We'll be back next week with the finale. We'll be back next week for the finale and continue sending feedback into Pluribus at baldmove.com if you would like to support us and keep us making podcasts and also get some nice things for yourself like ad-free feeds and all the Christmas content we've been putting out. Check out support.baldmove.com. And we'll be back in a bit to talk more Pluribus with you. Actually, we'll be back for the finale. Can you believe?
Seems fast.
In a very real sense, I think the show's been interesting since its first frame. But I want to say also the show just got interesting because we got so much confirmation and new information. And now we're going to have Manusos flipping over the table and we'll be able to argue about it for the next 2 years. So if that sounds like a good time, we'll also be back in January to consider you guys' feedback and do a full wrap-up podcast And also next week I'll be on Pete Pepper's finale wrap up podcast on Sunday night. Pete Pepper's link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Until that time, I am your individual host, Aaron.
And I'm your conglomerate of hosts, Jim.
See you next week.